This is John Walton, and you're listening to the Power Play Point podcast with the Blue Liner on point and Anna Knox. Here's Wilson, and on the right side, he
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Hello, welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. This is your host, the Blue Liner on Point, talking to you live to tape from downtown Glen Burnie, Maryland. Sun is setting on another midwinter's eve, and it's a bit of an exciting time of year if you're a sports fan. NFL playoffs are coming around, so there is that. Even though the Commanders are out and the Ravens, we'll see. Going to be a bit dicey tonight if you're a Ravens fan, I'll be honest. But this is a Caps fan podcast, so we're here to talk about Caps hockey. And not a fun week. Well, sort of, but not really. God. Kind of wish we were talking under different circumstances, talking about the results, of course. But, well, it is what it is. So we'll get into it. Joining us this week, the Mermaid is off with family for this weekend. She will be back next weekend. Joining us this week once again, familiar voice to everyone by now should be, as Cheryl Anne Forster, C4 as I like to call her. Good evening, my dear. How you doing?
I am doing quite well, thank you. Always a pleasure to be on.
And thank you once again for being on with us and adding your spice of life commentary to what would otherwise be probably a lot of moaning and groaning, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just go ahead and get right into it. 3 games this week only. Nice and spread out schedule, as the Caps are playing less games to let the rest of the league catch up with all the games in hand. First game was this past Sunday, I believe it was Sunday. Yes, Sunday, because we recorded Saturday last week, and that was against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And that, of course, was the first game back with Nick Backstrom and Tom Wilson. And so it was a very exciting, very anticipated game. Well, them coming back was exciting. The game itself, not so much.
Not so much.
Well, I guess needlessly exciting if you were hoping for maybe more goals or a more definitive win. Yes, it was a win, but I wouldn't call it a good win. The only goal of the game was, I don't even have to look at the score sheet. That's how well I remember it. Eric Gustafsson with a shot from the left circle that made a couple bounces off a Columbus defenseman and into the net between Elvis's legs. So, and that was it. That was all the scoring. And then that was early in the game. And from then on, it was hanging on by your fingernails, especially if you were hoping for a big win like I was, some win. And it just, I don't know. I have a perspective on, I have an opinion on what happened in that game and why, but you were actually at that game. So
I was.
Tell me what you saw.
Well, first let me say Kemper pretty much kept us in that game, facing 38 shots. I mean, Kemper was standing on his flippin' head and playing the part of a brick wall very well that night. But in terms of excitement and stuff, the crowd, I mean, when Nikki and Tommy took the ice, the crowd was insane. It was probably as loud as, if not louder than, when Obi scored 801, 802. And we had a brief conversation about this. You were saying they looked slow, and they did. Both teams actually looked a little slow, at least most of the game. There apparently was a boxing thing the night before, so the ice was crap. And I believe you all touched on this in the last podcast about the ice maintenance, so I won't go into too much detail there. But when we left the theater, we were at the theater down the street for a play that night, and we left the theater, there were people still going into the game, and it was into the arena, and it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So I don't know how long they had to switch over after, but other than Nikki and Tommy being back, the game itself wasn't very exciting. I had a great time because I was there with good friends. And of course, live hockey to me is always exciting. And I'm one of those people, I'm going to stay there, win, lose, or draw until the bitter end. So,
yeah, I don't understand people who leave early unless it's like there's like 30 seconds left and they've gotten the empty net goal and you want to get to the parking lot or whatever. That I understand, but I don't get these people that leave with like 7 minutes left in the game. I never understand that.
Yeah, I was actually at a game where the people next to me didn't even come back for the third period because that was the New Year's game, because I think we were up like 6-1 at that point. They didn't even bother coming back for the third period. I'm like, why? This is hockey. This is live. This is I don't, I mean, I'm not even, I'm going to be honest here. It's always awesome when our team wins, but nothing in my mind beats live hockey. Win, lose, or draw, if it's a live hockey game, I'm there, I'm enjoying it. So I want to see my team on the ice, and I want to see them playing, even if they're not playing well, the fact that I'm at a live hockey game, I'm a happy girl. And I've said this a couple times on different Facebook pages and to a couple of people. I kind of saw, sort of previewing what we're coming to, I saw this coming in the Columbus and even in the two Philadelphia games. The chemistry is different now that we've got Nikki and Backstrom back. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that it's different. You want your big guns back. You want them back. But my thoughts on this are, I'm really not sure the coaches and the staff really thought through how it was going to change the chemistry when you bring two people like Wilson and Nicholas Backstrom back at the same time, and what you already have on the ice is working. So, now that's not saying I would have done it differently, because I don't know that I would have, except maybe not have had them have as much ice time I did. I think we said they each had about 14 minutes of ice time on the first game. That
game, yeah, just over 14 minutes each.
I think, honestly, in my opinion, it might have been a little too much. I mean, I understand you're coming back. It's a home crowd. It's a team you should easily beat. I get kind of sort of maybe where they were coming from, but I don't think they fully thought it through. But that having said that, I'm glad we got the win. I'm glad we got the 2 points. Do I wish we had scored a few more goals? Sure, but Elvis decided he was going to play the part of a brick wall as well, so there you go. And then their defense was playing well. Their defense stepped up, so there wasn't much we could do about it. We did the best we could.
Well,
but again, when you only have 19 shots in a game, you're not going to win games.
Yeah,
and I think we got lucky with that one, honestly.
No, I would not disagree, and I think to take what all you were mentioning a step further, it looked to me like they were holding back, like they were maybe hoping that between Tom and Nick that one of them or the both of them would do something totally game changing that would, mark the game. I think maybe the team just had too much of that in the back of their head.
Mm-hmm.
And expected something like that to take place in the game when in reality nothing of the sort was going to happen.
No, you've got two guys coming back from major injuries. They're not going to come out there and play like they did before they got hurt, at least not right away. They're going to, they may get out there and try, and they may be doing it in practice, but practice and gamers are two different animals. And I'm not saying they didn't, and Nikki and Tommy both played well. Don't get me wrong. When they were on the ice, they were playing well. But again, you're right. They, it's like everybody wanted, oh, Nikki and Tommy are back. Let's see them, jump right back in and pick up where they left off and blah, blah, blah. That's just not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen for anybody.
It's not. And I think everybody, when I say everybody, I mean the team, the fans, the media.
The coaches. Yep.
Everybody up and down the scale got a little too caught up in that and just forgot that, even though this is, this might be something you do for a living, if you're out of it for a while, it takes some time to get back into the swing of things. It takes some time to get back into, being that perfect,
Right. And they were both out most of the summer and 42 games in the season. You're not going to come back at 100%. It's just not going to happen. And that goes back to me saying the coaches didn't think it through. I really don't think they thought it through when they set this up.
Well, hold on to that thought, because that takes us into the next two games. And okay, all right. So yeah, Columbus, probably one of the worst teams in the league, but at least the Caps got 2 regulation points.
Yeah.
Which they definitely should have. Okay. So next 2 games, Wednesday and Saturday, I believe. But they were pretty well spaced apart in any case. Both against Philly is a home and home. In one in Philly, one here. And okay, so yeah, Philly, the Flyers, probably not as bad, probably somewhat improved since the beginning of the season where they had a really terrible start.
Yeah, undoubtedly. They definitely look a lot better than they have.
Yeah, so probably not as bad as maybe as thought, but still certainly not a team that is going to challenge for the division lead, much less a playoff spot. So still a beatable team, 2 winnable games, or 4 possible standings points for the taking. You figure, okay, worst case scenario, maybe break even, or at least get 1 point and nothing. Nada.
Not one.
Absolute 0. And I'm not gonna mince words here. That is called shitting the bed. That is called blowing a golden opportunity, because right now, taking a look at the standings, the Capitals they were challenging for a regular division spot. Now, in the Eastern Conference, they hold, as of right now, the first wild card. They were at one point 1 point away from second place. And they blew it. And now they're back down to holding on to a wild card. And look, why is it important? I like their chances in the playoffs now that everybody's healthy again, at least, most everybody for the time being.
We got to get there first.
Getting there, I would say. So I like their chances going into the playoffs, but I don't want to be in a wild card spot. I would rather face a New Jersey or a New York Rangers team, or maybe even the Islanders. I don't want to face a Boston or a Toronto because we're sitting in the bottom wild card spot again. I do not want to face either one of those juggernauts in the first frickin' round if you can at all afford it. And how you avoid it, I should have said, is by banking standings points. I said this last week. I said it the week before that. And this is a team you could have done that against, and you blew it. And it makes me question whether or not they want to win. I don't know what happened. No, that's not true. I do know what happened. But this was a team that won at one point several games in a row, many of them handily, many of them in dominant fashion. And now they are right back to the team that began the year under 500, struggled to get to 500. They are right back to that point. And it frustrates the crap out of me because it makes no sense that you get two of your best players back and then all of a sudden you forget how to win, or you don't want to win. The two games I saw played, I saw a team that did not want to win.
Yeah. Zero urgency, no puck shoot. I mean, how many shots did we get in those two games?
We're gonna deviate a little bit from what we usually do, and that's make a focus game, because to me all three of these games were bad, terrible. Insert nasty adjective here. Okay, so let's briefly go over those two games. Okay, the first one against Philly, the one this past Wednesday. All right, 5-3 loss. Okay, this was the same game really. Caps start out kind of poorly, although in the second game not as bad. But they give up the first goal, they tie it. They stay in it. Now, this one they fell behind. They were still behind at the end of the first period, and then they have a mediocre to poor second period, which is supposed to be their best period, but they don't show up. In this game,
we only had where is it? Well, yeah, we only had 8 shots on goal in the second period.
8 shots on goal in the second period. The period is supposed to be the best, and nothing at all. And the one goal that they did get in the first 20 plus minutes, Garnet Hathaway and Nick Dowd. And what do you do with those two guys the next game? Naturally, you break them up. Let's not get started on that.
Well,
I think we have to.
And they sat strong.
Yeah. Well, trust me, we will get to the questionable decisions for the second game. But I just want to point out that that's the line that has been the most consistent. And then you go from that to whatever it was they were thinking for the next game. And then the Flyers grabbed everything by the horns in the third period, and then the Caps decided to wake up. Johansson and Oshie with back-to-back goals that made it at least decent, and then the Flyers sealed it.
Yeah, with the empty netter. Hat trick.
And the two penalties, the two penalties close to the end. I think they did that. I'm pretty sure they did that in the other game too. Took penalties late.
Yeah.
Let me double check.
Yeah. They did.
Yeah, they did the same thing. They did it. It's so the two games were literally mirror images of each other.
Yeah,
or carbon copies. However you want to look at it, they were both. And the same thing happened. The exact same thing happened in the Saturday game. Caps fell behind and did not force the play. Had a piss poor second period, and then 2 minutes into the third period decided to wake up. Now, here's the thing I notice about the Saturday game. There was no it was even less sense of urgency. There was no net front presence, almost none, until about halfway through the third period. In fact, I saw a couple of plays where there were shots towards the net and there were loose pucks and rebounds for the taking. And I saw
nobody there to get them.
Either nobody there to get them or people standing around puck watching.
Yeah, hold on a minute. What was it I said? Where is it? What did I say last night? No, we were talking about songs, the top 5. Where is it?
So if you look at the shot count, I mean, okay, so on paper, the shot count, obviously the second and third period, they looked like they were putting out.
I missed the second period. My dog decided to go on an adventure, and so I had to go out and look for her. And I found her.
And just like you said, she came home all on her own.
Thank God.
Well, I'm going to be a bit harsh here, but unlike the Caps, she knows where her bread is buttered.
There you go.
Because it's there. I don't know if our listeners. I'm sure some of our listeners will remember this guy, but there's a guy who used to play for the Caps by the name of Brooks Like, and he said something to the effect of, "Well, you do your best goal scoring in front of the net. You want to win the game. You go to the net."
Right. Well,
I didn't see anybody. Go ahead.
The one Ovi scored, we were in front of the net.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. That he was maybe 4 feet in front of the net when he scored that goal and got the rebound. And you knew, you have to know by now that's the kind of game you're going to be in for against a John Tortorella coach team. You sit in the back 20, 30 feet away and launch perimeter shots. What do you think is going to happen?
Nothing.
Block shot. Block shot. Block shot.
After block shot. Yeah.
Block shot.
Here it is. So number 1 song of the season, Nobody Wants to Collect Rebounds. Number 2 song, Shoot the Damn Puck. Number 3, Stop Playing Like Number 2. The three rules. The 3 rules of success if you want to win games, right? Right. And then the other thing I saw a lot of was one guy had and another thing I've noticed a lot, not only this year but in past years, is when we're playing on the wall, there may be it'll be like one of our guys and like 2 or 3 of the other guys trying to get the puck, but none of our guys are around there to get it when we finally get it off the wall. And it's like a little help. Well, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, but you at the same time you don't want to overcommit. And because if it gets by you, then boom, breakaway. I think that's actually what happened on the winning goal in this game. When Van Riemsdyk, the wrong Van Riemsdyk, JVR, not TVR, scored his goal in the Saturday game. He was all alone, and that there was nobody on the weak side where there was that scrum along the boards, and they found him, and there was just no chance. And Caps partially shot themselves in the foot and just did not play with enough effort offensively. And again, I don't understand, because you figured out how to pierce the net in the first goal. I mean, it took an Ovechkin to score it, but they should have figured out that that's what they were in for in this game. And I don't get why they didn't see that. Philly is one of those teams you have to play dirty. Well, not dirty, but gritty. Yeah. I mean, you have to play them hard. You have to be physical. You have to be in front of the net. You have to, because the way they play their defense, if they get you stuck on the board, you can't let them get you stuck on the boards, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to clog up the blue line, force you to go wide. And, you can't let them do that. And they were defense. It was at will. I mean, we just couldn't get through.
No.
Or wouldn't get through. We could get through. We didn't get through.
That's exactly what happened. And just to clarify, when we say Gritty, we don't mean the mascot, although I don't think they would have done any better if Gritty actually suited up and played for them.
Yeah.
Probably would have done worse.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, I mean, they looked for the first 45, 46 minutes, they looked absolutely confused.
Yeah.
Even after that, their first goal by Ovechkin, nobody wanted to collect any rebounds. Nobody wanted to put traffic in front of the net.
Mm-mm.
Let's give credit also where credit's due. Carter Hart had an awesome game.
He did. He really did.
He stopped everything he could see.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it wasn't just that, but I think had the Caps pressed the attack, I think they could have gotten at least one, made it close. And if Kemper didn't have that gaff of a turnover, then that would have taken away that goal. And it would
that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he took the puck and he threw it around the boards. And I think his intent on that goal was to find TVR, who there was either a miscommunication or he wasn't paying any attention. We'll never know, but it didn't go to him. Obviously, it got picked up by Morgan Frost, I think, and then he tossed it to Tippett, and that's where, that's where he found. Shoot, I've totally lost track here. I think that was Wade. Okay, Wade Allison. That was just him being in front. Okay, that was the JVR goal, I think. That was the JVR goal. Okay, so it's not the scrum, along the boards, but that was the actual turnover. Although I think, let me just call up the replay just to be sure. But it started with Kemper turning over the puck, and then the Caps just didn't. I don't know. They just couldn't get it back, and just
that was not good.
Discombobulated hockey for. Okay, so Kemper backhands it. Okay, so it go. Yeah. Okay, they didn't even challenge. No back checking. No nothing. Yeah, Frost picks it up, gets it over to Tippett. Tippett sees JVR all alone, and bang!
Yeah.
Freaking wide open net.
Yeah.
Terrible. But Diane Doyle had it right in one of the other rooms. They were pretty much the same game.
Yeah. Lack
of effort until too late, and nobody really pressing the attack until it was too late. And yeah, it was. I get that the lineup changes might have affected them a bit. I get that. We'll discuss that here in a minute. What I don't get is somebody has to go to the net. Somebody has to figure out that you got to get in the goalie's face sometimes to score goals, especially against a Tortorella coach team where they block a lot. They love to block a lot of shots. If it's obvious to the rest of us just watching the game, it ought to be obvious to 22 professionals. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
And it wasn't. And they sat back and they did, frustratingly enough, what they always do: sit back and take shots from the blue line, the tops of the circles, and expect the puck to magically seeing eye its way in. It's not going to do that.
One of these days, I'm going to get tickets right behind the bench, and I'm going to give those boys a piece of my mind.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into that, because I think we've talked the games, the actual on ice, to death.
Yeah, I mean, not that there's much to talk about, but
there's not. Yeah, there wasn't really because two of them were the same game, and the first one, everybody was. And look, it's on the players. I would say it's 65% on the players, but let's talk about the other side. The rest of it's on the coaching. And look, I understand there may be some out there that look, it's too easy to rip the coaching. Oh, you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know. You don't know what their purpose is. Well, so I hung around for the post-game presser, and Peter Laviolette was asked point blank, okay, well, why did you sit Strome out? And his answer was something to the effect of, well, I got to keep a balanced lineup. What?
What?
How is it a balanced lineup if one of your top point producers is sitting, is having a bowl of popcorn in the press box? How is that balanced? And then you wonder why no offense is being generated. Although I will say this, Alan May made a great point last night. I think the Caps are starting to miss his presence. And this is where Karlsson makes the difference.
Yeah.
We all know he's not the greatest defender in the world. What he is great at is starting the play, keeping possession, maintaining possession, starting the breakouts, slowing things down when they have to, and organizing that first initial attack. That's what he's great at. And without him there to do that, I think that may be maybe not the only reason, but a reason why they look so lost.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. I see that. Absolutely. Cause, and yeah, like I said before, he's good at what he does.
Yeah. He's good at starting the rush.
There are times he needs to do things that he's not so good at.
Yeah,
but his role over the year, I mean, his role over the year has changed. I mean, his role now is primarily to get the offense going, to generate that offense and get it going. I don't think his role is as much defense as it used to be. I mean, I don't think it's a matter of him not being good at it. I think it's just a matter of his role has changed. And everyone wants him to be this great defender that he used to be, but
And he's just.
I think it's more of a shift than a lack of.
Yeah,
talent. You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right, and that's the understanding we've come to about him, and so. I mean, I haven't changed my thoughts about him, but I have come to understand that without him, the offense isn't necessarily. The offense isn't necessarily the same, and the defense isn't necessarily better. He's still a painful liability on defense.
Yeah.
But it's killing me to say this, but I would rather have him out there if it means they have a chance to, score more goals and be into games than to have him out at this point, because that's a good point by Mr. Alan May, in that they're starting to miss him, and that may be one of the reasons why they don't look like they know what they're doing when they try to get into the zone, like you said.
They've got to find that missing piece, and if we're going to have to do. I mean, if he's not back by the All-Star break, we're going to have to start looking. I mean, we're going to have to find some way to, I don't know if replace is the right word, but fill that spot soon. Because last I heard, he could probably be out the rest of the season.
I haven't heard.
Apparently that hit was worse than we thought.
Yeah.
Now, that's just the rumor I've heard, kind of different Facebook things. But somebody had posted something that is reposted something his wife posted on Instagram that seemed to imply it was worse than people thought.
Well, so, if you're talking about the ear having to be reattached, that actually was disproved.
I'm talking more internal injury to the ear.
No, that
and
I can.
If he's got a busted eardrum, or his equilibrium's messed up, or he had a concussion, he could be out for a really long time.
Yeah.
So
and that would be tragically unfortunate.
So we're going to need to find somebody to fill that spot.
Well,
I don't know who we have right now that can. I mean, Gustafson might be the closest, but we're going to need to get some. We're going to need help soon.
Yeah, that's probably something they're going to need to address come the trade deadline. But that's
if not before.
If not before, but that's down the road. Now, so the big thing about the most recent game was a complete shakeup of the lines. And then, and like we just mentioned, Dylan Strome was actually a healthy scratch for this game. And there's no two ways about it. That got a lot of tongues wagging and heads turning and bowels churning probably as well. And look, and Mantha was inserted after missing a couple of games. Now, before that, though, the rumor and innuendo, I love that word, innuendo.
It's a great word, isn't it?
I think it's one of those words that doesn't get used enough in the vocabulary. So, kids, if you're listening, that's innuendo. Mark that down. That's your homework assignment. Look at me playing teacher. Look at me playing teacher with Anna being out. Remember that word, innuendo. It's Italian for where an enema goes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, the rumor was that they were sitting Mantha. One of the reasons they were sitting Mantha out was that they were getting ready to trade him. And the problem with that is he makes quite a bit of money. His cap hit, I believe, is something like $5.6 million. Last I looked. So that makes him pretty hard to trade. And so I don't know how feasible that's going to be. But I mean, either way.
I read somewhere he was sitting because he didn't play well, and Mantha actually was like,
that was the real reason. That was the real reason he sat those two games. But it was,
and even Mantha was like, I knew I wasn't playing well. So
but it was suggested that either
going to trade him now
very soon or down the road he was going to be traded, and that's not. I don't know how feasible that's going to be. It would be nice. If somebody is willing to take all or part of that salary, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Because certainly not getting the bang for that buck for sure.
No.
But that was the right call to sit him, but to bring him back, and I don't know.
And sit Strome?
And to sit Strome, that's not. And look, I get that he said, "Oh, I know what I did wrong," and but that all, what that sounds like to me. That sounds like. I think Anna and I mentioned him a few weeks ago. Chris Farley played a character when he was on Saturday Night Live called the Relapse Guy.
Yes.
That sounds a lot like the Relapse Guy saying, "Oh, I'll never drink again," and then 2 weeks later. He's slobbering drunk and forgetting to babysit his cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
And look, you can promise all you want, but if you don't deliver once in a while,
Yeah.
And he had a couple of great scoring chances in that game, and he had his first one, he didn't even get a shot off.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know. We were hoping to get somebody that could put the puck in the net or at least create chances. We haven't gotten either. And I was talking about this in another Facebook room with Doug Lucerarian, and him and Protus are a lot alike. Big guys with a lot of skill. So they got a size and skill component package, and they don't use either one, the both of them.
Yeah.
And I really hope Protus eventually figures that out. But unfortunately, I think it's too late now for Mantha, at least on this team.
Yeah, no doubt.
He might do better. He might do better with a change of scenery. I don't know, but it just seems to me like he does not want to use his size, and he does not have enough skill.
Right. Yeah, and actually, I think, and honestly, he was going through this last year when he came back from that shoulder injury. You know, and theoretically, you'd think he'd be over it by now. You know, afraid to re-injure that shoulder, but you know, come on, man. We hired you to be a big physical presence on this team, and yeah, you started out great, but you know, where'd you go?
Yeah, I don't.
You know, and I think, and that's why I think, you know, Ant-Man, you know, he's either there or he's not.
Exactly. He's either full size and you notice him, or he shrunk and you can't notice him. You don't see him. He's near invisible, and that's you know that's the bad
guy.
side.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the bad side to being Ant-Man, because
right, and that's why it's frustrating.
You know, and
he can do this.
Yeah. And it isn't showing up, and it's now we've gotten into a real long stretch where he's barely gotten onto the score sheet, let alone you know, making any impact. Okay, you know, he had a decent game where he created some chances, but you know, at the end of the day, you still got to put points on the board somehow, or you know, do something to help your team win.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. I can't right now. I can't justify him sitting over a Dylan Strome. I just can't.
You mean the Dylan Strome sitting over him?
Or right, Dylan Strome sitting in lieu of Mantha.
Mantha, right.
I don't see that. I don't get it. Now, more of the rumor and innuendo was that it was a possibility that they were, you know, putting Strome out of the lineup to rest some bumps and bruises. I don't buy that for a single solitary second.
No.
I don't get the. I'm not gonna say who and where, but I saw in at least one Facebook room where they were making excuses for the coaches. I don't get that either. I think they are totally responsible and should be held accountable for the decisions they made, because I do think they contributed. They totally contributed to the absolutely dysfunctional play that we saw Saturday.
Yeah.
How else can you explain it? You break up Dowd and Hathaway. You put people together. I get that you don't quite know where you want to put Backstrom and Wilson. Okay, well, maybe.
But you don't decide that the morning of the game. You think it out ahead of time. And this goes back to you saying they did not think this through.
No,
when they
didn't.
Decided to bring them back. So now they're scrambling, trying to find spots for these guys. And you had a team, you had a package that was working, and now you're adding these new pieces to it. You have to prepare. You have to proceed with caution.
Right.
You know, you've got something that's working. You can't risk it by completely blowing it up and changing it. It doesn't work that way.
It's like trying to put a souped up turbo engine in a VW Bug.
Yes.
You can't do it.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. You have to figure. I get that that's part of the process. They're trying to figure out what pieces work. But I don't know. It just seems to me like they're throwing the plate of spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. And
pretty much.
I don't understand. I really don't understand that mentality. I get that Backstrom and Wilson need their minutes. I get that. Let them be. The prevailing wisdom. Is let them get their time on the power play units, and then give them third and fourth line minutes until they're back. They've got all their timing back.
Third line. Sorry, you can't break up that fourth. They broke up that fourth line. I'm not saying break up the fourth. I'm saying give them fourth line minutes. Yeah, gotcha. Never mind, I gotcha.
Let Dowd and Hathaway, get third line type of time. But yeah, let Backstrom and Wilson ease back in. Give them anywhere from 10 to 14 minutes a night for a few more games, and then when they've got their timing back, then
start giving them a little more.
Giving them more, and I don't know, but it just threw them off completely. They looked lost. They didn't know. I mean, I don't know. They knew these guys were coming back. I don't know what kind of line combinations they even tried, if any, with these two in any sort of the practices. And if they did, not a whole lot of time. And it, like you said, it smacks of they did not prepare properly for this. And if you're out there on the other side, the speakers, the earbuds, what have you, and you're thinking, why are you skewering the coaches? You don't know what they're thinking. No, maybe we don't know what they're thinking, but this looks bad. It looks, the optics are awful. If you saw the game, I'm sure you saw a team that looked completely like an incomplete, unfinished kitchen.
Yeah.
No sink.
Yeah. No stove, no something.
No nothing. No heat, no fire, no energy. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing cooking, that's for damn sure.
Right.
And that is, yes, that's on the players to an extent, because somebody could have at least, go ahead.
Yeah, somebody, next man up, step up. You know how to play this game. Play the game. Yeah, there's a different guy on your line, but you've been playing with this guy in theory for several years. So you should be able to adapt as a player. You should be able to adapt to the situation. So you can't use, oh my God, the chemistry is messed up as an excuse. Yes, it is messed up. That's true. But you can't use it as an excuse for every game. You've got to figure out how to play with the guy with you. And as a professional, and as someone who's, I've never played the game, but I've watched a lot of them. But these guys, you've been playing with these guys. A lot of these guys have been on the team with you for, 3, 4, 5 years. You know how they play. You should be able to adapt your game to it. So that's why I'm not putting it all on the coaches. Of course, some of it's on the players, because they have to adapt. They have to figure out how to adapt to these situations. And it's very frustrating. And of course, I don't expect them to do it, boom, boom, right off the bat. But you get 2, 3, 4 games in, you should be able to see improvement and the chemistry rebuilding and stuff. And we just didn't in Philadelphia. Now, again, the third game, sort of an anomaly with them screwing up the lines even more than they already had. But I'm putting the third game a little more on the coaches than the players, just because I don't know what he was thinking when he broke up Dowd and Hathaway and Satstrom and all the other stuff that went on there. I'm like, that one I'm putting a little more on the coaches than the other two.
Now,
but as a player, you've got to learn to adapt to these situations.
Absolutely. I will say this about bringing Mantha back in. Even though relapse guy and all that, I I don't know I have no idea what he showed him in practice that magically made him worthy of getting a start, but or being in the game, at least getting a jersey for the game. But I think the mentality was, okay, it's the Flyers. They play us tough. Maybe he can add a more physical presence. And so I think that was the logic, and I'm okay with that. The problem is he just doesn't do it. Mantha just doesn't provide enough of that. But I think
lately
the logic was that, okay, big body, you put him in front of the net, and he's going to create chances, which he did to a small extent, but nothing actually went in.
Right.
And so I guess in that sense, you can't really say the experiment was a failure, but it's one game, but where's the proof that we're going to see more of this on a continuous basis? I haven't seen it yet, and I'm doubting very much that it will actually be that. It'll actually, come to fruition, because we haven't seen it all season. What's going to be, presto changeo, how's it going to appear now?
Right.
All of a sudden, okay, I realize what I did wrong. Okay, well, we're over halfway through the season.
And we're still waiting for you to fix it.
We're still waiting for you to wake up and play that game we expected you to play when we traded for you.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Consistently.
And not one out of every
flashes of it.
Well, we need to see it more often than 1 out of every 7 to 10 games.
Right. He needs to do that consistently.
And it hasn't been happening. I have my doubts. Now, that's not to say he can't turn it around, but I have my doubts because we just haven't seen enough of it.
Right.
So,
yeah, I would rather see Strome on the wing. I think Strome would play well on the wing.
I'm a little leery about that. I
would probably sit Eller and put Strome in Eller.
Well, that's the prevailing wisdom. I still like Eller playing center. I think he still has a lot to offer.
He's gotten better, but he's had more than a few costly turnovers lately.
He's still Lars Eller, and every so often he'll give you that. He'll do something. Something else I'll say. I can't remember. I think it was this game, the most recent game. It was one of the games. He was called for the stupidest penalty I've ever seen in my life.
It was the first one. No,
okay.
It was the second one. It was this one. It was at the very end of the game. The guy jumped. The guy jumped in the air and fell over Eller's stick, and Eller got the tripping penalty. Yeah.
Stupidest call I ever seen in my life.
Yeah. But they didn't call the trip on the guy when the guy late tripped Connor Sherry and
I was just about to say
down the ice.
Yeah, I was just about to say that happened about a minute earlier. The guy practically slew-footed Sherry. Not just tripped him, but slew-footed him.
Yeah. He goes flying down the flipping ice. And then, Wilson, that one on Wilson at the very end, he got lucky they didn't call that an automatic goal at the empty net.
Yeah, that was just it had gotten out of hand at that point. But
at that point it wouldn't have mattered if they scored. But
the guy who called that penalty, Reed Anderson, that sounds like a guy they dragged out of a bar and said, "Hey, you want to make $25?"
Yeah, right.
What is it?
Lynn was. What was it? Lynn was saying? In the Columbus game there were a lot of missed calls, and Lynn was like, "My grandmother could have called this game better, and she's dead."
That sounds like something she'd say.
Disney's going to be really fun in a couple weeks.
Yeah. She, I, and Amanda. Well, maybe the next time you guys are all together again, maybe we can get some audio as well. I think that'll
Oh, that would be fun.
Hook some new listeners, maybe. But yeah, we've. I think we've talked the problems of this week to death. And look,
Yeah.
I get that some of you out there have more faith in the coaching staff than maybe we do, and maybe Laviolette and folks know what they're doing. But look, you got to understand that the optics of it right now just don't make it seem that way. And
No.
And his reasoning just makes it worse, makes it sound worse. And if the Caps don't get back on the winning track soon, it's just going to look really bad. And also, I would be hesitant to blame Backstrom and Wilson.
Oh, it's not on them at all.
It's not the fact that of what they're doing. It's just like
absolutely not.
Just like C4 just said. It's the fact that the team wasn't properly prepared to reintegrate them. That's the problem. It's not them. Okay, it's not that those two are playing poorly.
No, they're playing very well considering all things.
Unfortunately,
they're playing extremely well.
Yeah, but unfortunately, their presence or the poor handling of their return, I think it should be stated accurately, is at least in part to blame for some of this.
Right.
And I think that's what some of the fans out there might not understand when somebody says, "Hey, look, it's no coincidence that ever since those two returned, well, it's not because of them, it's because the team didn't react to their being put back into the lineup properly." That's the problem.
Yeah, no, we are not. We are absolutely not putting this on Wilson and Backstrom.
Of course
not.
Absolutely.
What? No. It is not on them, and it's not even on the rest of the team. And again, I would say I think everyone was a little overly optimistic and overly excited, and oh my gosh, yay, we're getting two of our biggest guys back.
Yeah.
We're going to pick up where we left off. And we didn't. And now everyone's like, the hell.
And now everyone is, in need of several pairs of adult diapers. Because.
But I'm not. But yeah, no, it is definitely not on Willie or Backstrom.
No,
at all.
Absolutely not.
I think the way the staff handled reintroducing them to the lineup, I think they were, I don't want to say they jumped the gun because that's not the right word. They didn't. I mean, they came back at the right time. It was how they handled it, I think, is the problem.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, enough said.
Well, right. So, yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it. And look, when all is said and done, this may happily be just a blip on the radar. We're going to have to wait.
It is.
We're going to have to wait and see. There's some tough games coming up, unfortunately.
Well, the other thing I was thinking, we tend to not play as well when we have games spaced out like this.
Yeah.
I think that gives them a little too much time to get in their heads. And, now they've got this whole readjusting the dynamic. I think it just gave a little too much time to get in their heads, and they just, had a little too much time to think and a little too much time to get in their heads. So I think we do tend to play better when the games are closer together. So I'm optimistic about the upcoming schedule, even though there's tougher teams and we're heading out west. When do we head out west? In a couple of days. We go to Minnesota, on Tuesday? Wednesday?
So previews of coming attractions. Thanks for the segue. Tomorrow night, go up to USB Arena. Sorry, that's the techie in me. UBS Arena.
Yes.
Up in
This is the first time we played them this year.
Long Island against the Islanders. 7:30 puck drop up there. Yeah, first meeting against them. And then very next night, back home to Cap 1, 7 o'clock puck drop against the Wild, Minnesota. So nice back-to-back game. We'll see how we do there. Maybe, hopefully, just give them a chance to bring themselves together like Jello gelatin. Hopefully, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Then, like you mentioned, it's the West Coast, the Midwestern road swing that they're on for 3 games. So Arizona Thursday, the 19th, and Saturday, the 21st, Vegas. It's a 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock starts respectively. And then they're off for a couple of days. And that next Tuesday, it's in Colorado at 9. And then they come back home for Pittsburgh next Thursday. That's going to be an interesting game. I think they're a little nicked up. Pittsburgh is. They've been struggling a bit, and they're a little nicked up. So I don't know. They might want to approach that game with caution, because could be a little bit of a wounded animal syndrome. But getting back to the Midwestern road trip, want to mention this a little bit. So my good friend Pete Fisher, who I grew up with, lives out in Arizona, and as a graduate of ASU. So just want to put it out there. I'm going to post information on this, see if anybody's interested on the Facebook page. That so he would like to do a meet and greet outside the brand new Mullet Arena. Yes, that is the real name of that place. And for the Thursday game against the Coyotes, he knows of a few good spots in the area. Like I said, being a graduate of Arizona State U. And so if anyone listening would be interested, you can DM either myself, leave a message on the Facebook page, or direct message him as well. It's Peter Fisher, Fischer, last name. And so, he's just looking for a Power Play Point podcast meetup. His words, not mine. He wants promote the hell out of the podcast while we're doing this. Unfortunately, I can't make it out there. But anyone listening who is headed out and planning on seeing that game and maybe some of the others in the Western road trip, I think he'd be very interested. And like I said, he knows of at least 1 or 2 good spots in the area out in Tempe. And I think, probably be a pretty good time out there, some good places. So message him if you're interested. Hopefully some of you guys out there can get with him before and during the game. We'll see how that goes. All right, so that covers the next 2 weeks towards the end of the month. So now we're going to go into our small business spotlight. And okay, so a bit of full disclosure here. This week has been a bit difficult for me. Might have noticed that I haven't been as active on the old Facebook page, and that's because unfortunately I've been a bit distracted, and that was because earlier in the week, my wife Jenny, the seamstress for the band, fell very ill, and I actually had to take her to the emergency room. Well, happily, I was able to bring her home today. She's doing fine. She's resting comfortably. So I figured, why not, make it, easiest and make the most sense to spotlight her business, which is called Hand Stitch by Family. What she does is it's mostly crochet crafts and products. She does a few other things, but it's mainly crochet products. And let me just give you a quick rundown of some of the things she's able to make. Dishcloths, hair accessories, cat toys, pot holders, coasters, baby clothes. And we also it's family, so it's it's my daughter's mother, and they happen to be friends, and don't ask me to tell that story. And but she also makes plastic canvas, so plastic canvas items will also be made available. We're hoping to get an Etsy page up very, very soon. But
and those dishcloths are awesome.
Yeah, and we actually have we happen to have a customer on who can attest to my wife's skills at the art of crocheting.
Yeah, they work great, and they're washable, so you can use them over and over and over.
Yeah,
and they last a long time. I mean, they last.
Yeah, we still have.
You might get a month out of a sponge. I've had these. I got the first one in July, and I think I finally killed it in like early November or something because I use it all the time. So I got 2. So while one's in the wash, I can use the other. They're great.
We actually still have one she made around the same time in our kitchen, and so she also makes these things called towel toppers that look great, hanging on, as hangers for oven towels. And they look absolutely great, and she makes holiday theme, like there was a bunch of them she made for Halloween and Christmas. It's kind of sad that those holidays are over because
Valentine's Day is coming up.
They look great. Yeah, we can do that too. And another thing. Yeah, another thing she made, what she got an idea for, was Christmas ornaments. There was one where there was a little space that you could put a picture in if you want, and hang the ornament on the tree. So lots of little knickknacks like that. And I get that I'm biased and I'm probably sounding like I'm gushing here, but it's to me. It's amazing what she can do with the different types of yarn. To me, it's like the updated Lorax movie where Mr. Onceler makes all of these things out of a thneed,
right?
And to me that's what she does with the different types of yarn. It's amazing to me that she can concoct these things just by looking at patterns. I mean, cat toys, for crying out loud. Who would have thought you could make a cat toy that could keep a cat entertained, and a real bouncy, stringy, long thing of yarn with a ball at the end. But if you jerk it just right, it goes about 3 different directions, and my cat's staring at me because he knows I'm talking about him right now, but he's confused by it and loves it all at the same time. You can look on his face, but it blows me away that if you have somebody that knows what they're doing and loves what they're doing, this is the end result, and that's one of the reasons why we do these spotlights. And I just want to close with this. It's called Hand Stitch by Family because. It's family because it's her and my daughter's mother, of course, and her mother that contribute. It's mainly her, but that's the family aspect, and of course hand stitch because none of any of the crafts that she makes involves any machine. She actually, I've seen her. She sits there and goes through the pattern and painstakingly counts every stitch when she has to and make sure everything's even and right. And the amount of care and precision that goes into it just absolutely blows me away. And so don't be surprised if once in a great while you might see some mention of it at the Facebook page or elsewhere, maybe on my personal page. But hopefully, and of course we'll have a link to it on the show notes page, but give it a try if you're into crafts like that, homemade crafts, and who couldn't who wouldn't want any of these things, because they're not only great to look at with all the colors she comes up with, but they're very, very functional too, especially the coasters. And there's a funny story I hope to make out of a self-made commercial video of how the coasters got started. Basically, too many beer cans on the wood furniture, and yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So, and there was another friend of mine who had put in an order for baby clothes, and she was actually blown away by the colors and how well they fit and all that. So
yeah, that always impresses me. I can crochet a granny square, and that's about it. So I'm very impressed. I mean, coming from a family, my grandmother my one grandmother knit, the other one did crochet, and she crocheted me a blanket for when I got married. And it's like, yeah, I can do a granny square, and yeah, maybe stitch a couple of them together to make what looks like a blanket. But yeah, to be able to do all that other stuff, it blows my mind. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. And I always have been. So it's Hand Stitched by Family. They have their own Facebook page if you want to give them a look and follow them. Hopefully we'll have an Etsy page up. One of our good friends, Casey Malone, he and his girlfriend helped out with the logo. So they just finished that up. So hopefully have that up soon so everybody can see that. So give that a look, see if I know a lot of listeners out there maybe into that type of thing. So you can go ahead and support that business. Both she and I would be eternally grateful. I don't know what we can do. What I would like to do sooner or later to kind of tie things in is see what can be done as far as, Caps themed merchandise. I know that the NHL legal people might have a bit of a snit about that, so I don't know what all we can do with that, but that's something I would like to I would envision down the road, but we'll see. But yeah, looking to grow that and see where that goes, because I think she's very, very talented with that, and I think it's worthy of anyone's time. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually scrolling through the Facebook page now.
Yeah, so give that a look. See, again, it's Hand Stitched by Family, and she does have the ability to take individual orders if you are interested, and talk to her about pricing and shipping and all that. So she does have an inventory of just about all of those things I mentioned, and if you have custom colors in mind, custom items. Pretty sure she can work with you as well. She also makes masks. I don't know if anybody remembers, but when COVID first came out, she made the caps masks with the theme cloth. So she can make those as well. So basically anything you need hand stitched, mostly crochet, she's your gal. So check that out, and do please give it your time. I think it's well worth it. All right. So, so it's another long one here. We had a lot to talk about, obviously, even though it was only 3 games. And I mean, I'm pissed. I won't lie. I'm not happy with the direction of the team right now. But again, hopefully it's just a blip on the radar and they can figure it out.
I'm not happy, but I'm not giving up.
No, there's no cause to give up.
These guys are smart. They'll figure it out. We did hit a blip in the road. I get we're all excited. Willie and Nikki are back, and I think that's in the end that's going to be a great help. It's also great to see Oshie back on the ice, because he really does make a big difference on this team. So it's nice to see the pieces coming back together, and now we just need to figure out how to make them fit again. And we'll do it. I have no doubt we'll get there. We just got to be a little patient.
Yeah, I agree. And I think once everybody's had time to think about what pieces fit where and how, it'll get back to good again. But I just right now I'm a little ticked off. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
And I just it bothers the frick out of me that all that cohesiveness that they had is now gone. But my hope is that it doesn't take like 10 games or something like that to get it back. So
right.
I think they will. I'm optimistic on that end, but I hope it doesn't spiral downward too badly before they do figure it out is my worry. So
exactly.
All right. So for C4, Cheryl Anne Forster, unless Cheryl Anne, you had something else you wanted to mention?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. So So for another episode of the Power Play Point podcast, I'm going to wind it up here. Thank you so much for joining us again. Do please tell a Caps fan you love about us. Join us at the Facebook page. Definitely subscribe and download an episode. Give us a try. You want to contact us, Facebook is a pretty good place. I'll also give out my personal email, glhallowed@yahoo.com, or you can direct message me in Facebook Messenger if you'd like. You want to come on the show and have your say, we're always welcome to that. Like to say, we make the Caps fan the star, so you have an educated opinion that you want to give about the Caps, some observation, maybe something we haven't talked about, absolutely, you are welcome to come on and do that. So we'd love to have you on. All right, so going to wind it up here. Thanks for listening, and hopefully you in the state of Maryland, District of Columbia, and Commonwealth of Virginia and beyond have enjoyed us again. We'll be back next week. Mermaid should be back with us, and hopefully we'll get back a little bit more regularly in the win column. So until then, this is the Blue Liner on Point signing off and reminding you,
here it comes.
I like to spend my time telling people about the benefits of dried grapes. Because for me, it's all about raisin awareness.
Okay. It is indeed.
Hallelujah, and let's go Caps.
Let's go Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, blueliner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Power Play Point podcast. Thanks for listening.